Well, Neil, Chris, welcome to Countdown. Welcome to Australia.
Well,
You're saying it's the first time on Australian television.
Yes, as far as I know. The video might have been shown, but
Right.
this is our first conversation with anyone on Australian television.
Right. Okay, let's go with the name itself, Pet Shop Boys. Where'd that come from?
You can
Oh,
tell
well, I
us
can
one.
answer this one. I had some friends who worked in a pet shop in Ealing, and they were referred to as the Pet Shop Boys.
Right.
And we didn't have a name at the time we were going to America to record.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what was it? We sort of needed a name, and we just latched on the name Pet Shop Boys.
We used to say to them, we should start a group called the Pet Shop Boys and saying, how much is that doggy in the window?
Right.
And we were going to New York to record, and there were lots of groups like the Peach Boys and the Bebox Boys and the Beastie Boys. So we thought we would become the Pet Shop Boys, because the boys sounded New York and the
Right.
Pet Shop sounded really kind of English and weird.
Right, now, how does it feel, before we get on to the recording side and the success you've had, you know, now in England, how does it feel to be on the other side, considering you have been a rock journalist?
From being, it's slightly embarrassing when we do a program like Top of the Pops. I see all these kind of real pop stars like Fergal, Sharkey or King, who we used to write about in Smash Hits when I worked for it, and I feel like a little bit of a fraud, really. That as though we're number one on the charts at the moment, and as though there's going to be a real group there next week, and we'll just sing back to wherever we came from. We don't quite feel like the real thing sometimes, I don't
Right.
think. And also, sometimes you feel a bit self-conscious when you've written about rock music and pop music, and you've seen so much of it and heard so much of it, and perhaps analysed it a bit. Making records yourself, it's hard not to be slightly self-conscious sometimes, just thinking, oh, I look just like so-and-so now, or that sounds just like so-and-so.
Were you a frustrated musician being a writer?
Yeah, I was a musician, though, before I joined Smash Hits. Chris and I had been...
Try not to mention that.
Sorry,
mate,
I keep thinking, don't mention that. Shall I say that bit again?
When you're working for that magazine.
When
go.
I was working for the magazine, before I was working for the magazine, we were doing this... the Pet Shop Boys anyway. So I was a frustrated musician then, and I suppose I was a little bit.
Right.
I never particularly wanted to be a journalist, actually. No, I never set out to become a journalist. I was asked to do it, and
Right.
and, I enjoyed doing it and everything. But the whole Pet Shop Boys thing was carrying on the entire time we were doing it.
Okay, so how did you two get together then?
Oh, we met in Chelsea.
Right.
We
As
we met-
budding musicians, or just as
No,
friends?
just a chance meeting, really.
Yeah.
We were in a shop. I was in a shop one day, and I was buying a lead for my synthesizer, and Chris was in the same shop, and we started. I was waiting for them to actually. They were welding a lead together for me, and we started talking at the counter about synthesizers and being very muso. And he came back and had a look at my synthesizer.
Right.
The rest is history.
So then, so then what happened? You got together, and then started looking for a deal after you'd done some demos?
Well, we did demos for a while, and a guy who owned a studio in London, a little 8-track studio, let us use it for nothing, and we made demos. Every Saturday night we used to go in and write a song, and then go out afterwards.
Right.
And then I was in New York for the magazine, and our big musical hero was a guy called Bobby
Oh, yeah.
Orlando, Bobby O, who's a quite well-known producer, and he's an artist in his own right. And I phoned him up and went to see him, and I had this tape in my pocket, and we were talking about why I'd never produced an English band, and I said, oh, well, funny you should mention that, and got my tape out, and he liked it and said, let's make a record. And 3 weeks later we were recording with him.
Right.
And that is when we first recorded West End Girls. It was actually recorded in New York about 2.5 years ago.
Right. So then what happened? That came out on.
There was a kind of deafening silence. The record came out on Epic in
Epic.
England, and it wasn't really played on the radio. Nothing happened. And then one day we got a phone call from Brussels, and they said, you're number 1 in our chart. You've just knocked Duran Duran off the top place, and will you come over? And the record then became a hit in Belgium and in France as well. And it was a bit of a disco hit all over Europe. And then it got played on the west coast of America a lot. And suddenly record companies started phoning us up, and we ended up with Parlophone, EMI.
So had you dismissed then by that stage West End Girls was gone for all good?
Yeah, we hadn't dismissed it, had we?
We still like the song and everything.
And we
And
thought-
the records, yeah.
We thought the song was good, and also it was recorded originally in 1983, so we thought in 1985 when we redid it, we just thought we could have done a much, much better version. The first version was made, recorded and mixed in 4 hours, and the second version was done in 5 days.
Right.
And it's a much more three-dimensional sounding record. And I think it was probably our favourite song we'd written in many ways, and so we just wanted to give it another go. And also when you've written a good song that you think is really good, and no one in your home country has heard it, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
And I think that was the main reason for doing it, just that we wanted it heard. And of course it's been very successful.
Now you have the #1 record.
Yeah.
It's a pretty awesome thought, actually. And especially, I would imagine, from a journalistic point of view, because you know that there's a lot of pressure put on an artist that goes to #1.
Well, first, I think I feel vindicated that we did the right thing. You know, giving up. I gave up quite a big career to do this, you know, and you know, you kind of lie in bed at night thinking, "Are you doing the right thing?"
laugh,
Quite a big career, was it, Neil?
Well, I did really. Let's face it.
Right, and
Also, but people say about the pressure. You know, they've got to release a follow-up single. And we're busy recording the album now. Do you feel pressured?
Oh yeah, I'm under fantastic
no,
strain.
being sensible. Well, congratulations on the record.
Thanks a lot.
You must come down to Australia.
I hope we will be coming to Australia. I don't know
Right.
the end of this year, but possibly the beginning of next year, I think.
Well, with the record now, and I'm sure that with the film clip, the fact that it has been a success on the dance market, it should explode.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah, and we look forward to the album.
Great, okay.
And don't laugh at journalists, Chris, please.
Chris not going to say anything at all in this interview.
Yeah, goodbye.
Thanks.
Thanks.